What's going on there, everyone? I'm just sitting in the truck today. But in the last half of work today, something interesting kind of happened. Something that hasn't happened before, at least for me. But I didn't per se visually witness, but I was there. At least I was one of the first ones there. I saw a car accident. Someone was pulling out of an intersection and she got hit in the front fender of her car. Tires were squealing and everything like that. And me, in the back of the truck, though I'm not a paramedic or anything like that, I work construction, so I do have, Band-Aids and stuff like that, a little bit of gauze, cold compress, stuff like that, in case someone cuts their self on the saw or something like that, because sometimes we're out in the country. But one thing that struck me, and everyone was okay, I walked over there, I had my little kit with me, and, I was fully prepared to... I've taken a couple of training courses, I'm not just going in there blind, though I am blind. I was fully prepared, mentally, physically, however you want to call it, to act quick and respond as a first responder. And, thankfully everyone was alright, and I don't have to use this kit. I pray I never have to use this kit. But what really got me thinking about this is that by the time that I got there, there was already 4 or 5 other people, other cars stopped and whatnot. And there was already people on the phone with the police. I already made sure of that. And, after I had already learned that everyone was okay, I didn't need to bust out the kit, I could kind of go back to what I was doing at work. I noted the time. It took 25 minutes, and the police arrived first, fire department, then an ambulance. And I was less than a block away from this, so I was kind of keeping note. And what struck me is that there was a hospital maybe 2 blocks away, and I could have in that amount of time, I could have, if someone was injured, not needing a stretcher or any kind of advanced life support, I could have escorted them to the hospital and back and there again in the time that it took for the ambulance to get there. And so, just to kind of tie all that together, and what I've really been thinking about is being prepared in case crisis or some situation happens. It might not even be a crisis. If you got kids, they might have a splinter in their thumb, or they might be choking on something, God forbid, or, just a little scrape or something like that. And having a family first aid kit around the house is something that you should definitely have, at least, and then on top of that, you need the training and know-how to, prevent or help or, stay on top of those situations whenever they do come, if they even come. And so, being prepared like that, it kind of puts it on my heart. Because knowing what I know now, if there was an issue with what happened today, out of the maybe 5 to 10 people that were there, I was the only one that had anything that could have saved somebody's life. If you're bleeding out, that's 30 seconds, not 20 minutes. I know there's all kinds of factors and everything that goes into why it takes a few minutes for first responders to arrive, but if I'm the one there first, then I'm the first responder. And I'm looking forward to advancing my training in that. You know, hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. Because God forbid something actually did happen and I didn't have the right supplies, or I didn't have the right kit or tools or know-how or knowledge, I don't want to be set up for failure like that. I want to set myself up for success so that other people can have that same success. And kind of scripturally speaking, spiritually speaking, Christ was in the synagogue on the Sabbath, as was his custom. And the man with the withered hand, the Pharisees were thinking in their minds and in their hearts, surely he's not going to heal on the Sabbath. But it's always, always life over the commandments. You always need to maintain life, because if there's no life, then there's no point of that life doing the commandments, right? If no one's there alive to do the commandments, then the commandments are pointless. And so, today's Tuesday. It's not Sabbath. But not only are we to be physically prepared, mentally prepared, but spiritually prepared as well. And, in times of need and crisis like that, or an emergency situation, spiritually speaking, you need to be physically capable of, toting around an EMS bag, or you need to be physically capable of being able to go into a burning building and, swinging a fireman's axe, or, lifting up the hose and maintaining all that. And you need to be mentally capable so that you can follow directions from your supervisors or whatever, or have your own personal knowledge in order to take care of the situation. If someone is going into cardiac arrest or tension pneumothorax or something like that, you need to know exactly what you need, exactly what to do in order to prevent them from, going downhill. Mentally, you need to have that preparedness. Physically, you need to have the preparedness to where, your body can take the stress and all of that's required of these situations. But spiritually, we all need to be prepared for everyday life. Because it might not always be a crisis. It might not always be a family emergency or something like that. But I can tell you right now, in my experience, there have been several lives saved from God, from Yahweh, from Yeshua, and from the love and the wisdom and the knowledge that gives. People are going 9 to 5, 7 days a week, sometimes even longer than that, and their goal is what? Money, bills. Got to pay off this bill and that bill. You got to pay off the truck, got to pay the house, got to pay the light bill, got to pay this loan, that loan, this credit card. And that's their only goal, That's why everyone says you need credit nowadays when... Nope. I'm sitting in one vehicle right now. There's another vehicle in front of me, and I got both titles. Don't need credit. But spiritually, I feel the Father has led me to kind of... What's the phrase I'm looking for? Instead of going with the flow, I'm swimming against the current. As far as mainstream goes. Mainstream. So, to spiritually be prepared for that person who comes up and be like, well, doesn't the Bible talk about, having slaves and stuff like that? And, yeah, that it does. You can't say that it doesn't. And if you say that the Old Testament's done away with and we don't have to worry about that, no. Because you still have butlers, you still have servants of some kind, employees or otherwise. You still hire people to do things for you. And that's what slavery was set up as back then in that system, so to speak. It was a system that, if someone was struggling, they would trade their hands in order to help out on the farm or be a shepherd or something like that. And then in turn, the one who was taking in this person would provide a roof, food, safety, security, and in the end of the 7 years, during the year of Jubilee, that person would be let go. It wasn't a lifetime thing. You definitely did not treat your servants harshly, because if you did read scripture, then you would know if that servant wanted to stay. Why would a slave want to stay? Because they like it. They're taken care of. They know what they're doing. They have this responsibility, that responsibility. This servant, this slave, decides to stay for life, then the owner would drive an awl through the ear on the doorpost of his home. So as servants of the kingdom of heaven, servants of Yeshua, our master, don't you think that we need to be somewhat prepared to maintain normalcy in case of a crisis or an emergency? I think so. Because, say for example, the situation I was in earlier today, everyone came out okay. But if I ended up having to stay there and take care of somebody and then provide a statement, this, that, and the other to all these other people, then I'm involved. And someone, there's been stories of people going in, people being involved in accidents and whatnot, them getting saved by someone physically, and they get up, before they get loaded up into the ambulance, they're on the stretcher going, wait, where is that person? And they're gone. It's a story of an angel or something like that. We can all be angels. We can all be those messengers. And it's one thing, and I'm not talking down on it, but it's one thing to, for me, I don't go to a bar or anything like that, but if I had a buddy who was at a bar every night, 7 nights a week, and I noticed his life was going downhill, I'd go into that bar, sit down, and, talk to him, and hopefully steer him in the right direction and help him out. But it's another thing being in a, direct contact. You got to happen, everything's happening so quick that people don't even remember too many details. It's not like you're sitting down at a bar having a conversation. You're trying to save their life. And because of that significance, because of the emergency and the way things are happening, you could use that as a tremendous opportunity to reach out, not just to the person that you might be saving, but to those around you. I'm wearing my seat right now. I'd pull them up, but it's kind of hard. It'd be a little awkward, but I am wearing them. I've been wearing them for a while. Might as well. I don't want you guys calling me out and being a liar, but anyway, I'm wearing my seat right now. So if I go into an emergency situation right now, I'm physically prepared with my kit, but I also have my seat. Well, that's pretty good identification right there. And sometimes people don't want to be identified. Me personally, I wouldn't want to have issued a statement, or if the news came out or something like that, that wouldn't be me. But this right here could be a connection where, hey, I remember seeing something like that on that guy, and he saved that person's life. What does this mean? If he's wearing these and he's managed to save someone's life, what does he have that I don't have? And then they start looking up, they might Google tassels or tzitzit on Google or something like that and come to know God that way. And honestly, I wouldn't have even said a word to him. That would have just been God working through. And so in those emergency situations like that, by being prepared and by being willing to go into that burning building, go into the direction of trouble versus running away from it, I think it provides all the much better opportunity to really show what the kingdom of heaven can do, what a follower of Yahweh can do, what a follower of Yeshua, or whatever, however you want to say it. Because there's too many videos now of people swinging a jacket in church or something and people falling over, you know. And in all honesty, most people look at that and they're like, well, wait a minute, you know, that's, you know, and I'm not denouncing the spirit at all, you know, I've been there too. But, you know, to the regular average Joe, that looks a little iffy, you know. But if they see somebody wearing seat, or if they see someone, you know, that they know that you have a reputation of being that guy or that girl that, you know, yeah, I'm crazy. I follow Seventh-day Sabbath. I don't eat bacon. You know, I don't eat any pork. God forbid I walk into a Red Lobster, because all I'm going to be eating is the biscuits. If that. You know, if someone else sees you and they know that you're a part of the kingdom, then you ought to be setting an example of the kingdom. And by being prepared physically, mentally, and spiritually, I think that the Father would put you in certain situations a little bit more often. You don't want to be caught as the two groups of women in the prophecy. I forget what book it is, but two groups of women. One group had their candles out and they were waiting and they had extra oil. The other group of women, they didn't have oil and they didn't have enough time to go into the market to buy any more. And so whenever, you know, I think it was the husband or something like that, whenever he came and opened the door, let them into the party, the ones who were prepared, the other ones weren't let in. And that goes in, you know, with the scripture talking about how he's going to come back as a thief in the night. But at the same time, it could also happen during everyday life. If there's a car accident, if there's a fire or an emergency situation that you're prepared to take care of, you know, God's going to open that door for you. And it's up to you to walk through it. But I think it'd be a whole lot better if you were actually prepared for it. So, anyway. A little bit of a longer video, I know. I don't know. I guess all my videos are about 20 minutes long, but I'm trying to get better at recording them. I'm trying to stay a little bit more on topic rather than chasing all these rabbit trails. But anyway, I hope someone, somehow, some way, somewhere can get a little bite of this information, and maybe they chase their own rabbit trails. But I hope you enjoy it. I know I've enjoyed every minute of this past, oh gosh, I don't even know how long it's been anymore. It's a whole lot of fun. It really is. May not look like it right now because I'm all congested because of all these allergies, but I'm really happy with where the Father's put me. And I'm really hoping that here pretty soon, well, I say that. It's all in His time, it's all in His will. But all I can hope for is that it just gets better and better. More knowledge, more understanding, more wisdom, more guidance. And using that to grow the kingdom. That's my goal. All my bills are taken care of. I ain't worried about that. You know, we're not supposed to anyway. You know, the crow, he gets to eat. Squirrels, they get to eat. Grass is always going to grow, always going to pass away, always going to grow back. So how much more do we need to worry if we can look around and see life all around us? God's going to take care of you. But you need to be mentally and physically prepared in order to steward the blessings that He may give you. Because otherwise, you're just going to swindle them away, and you might not get any more. You never know. But anyway, I'm going to go on inside. I'm tired. And I hope you guys have a blessed week. Shalom, everyone.